All right, so we have made it. I know you guys have all been patiently waiting. You've made it through mindset, you've made it through systems, you made it through nutrition. Now it's time to talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about training, right? How to actually effectively train. These are my training principles. These are one of the key things that helped me take my physique from average to great. Okay, so this is how I went from this to this. Obviously, nutrition plays a very important factor in this, but if I was not training the right way, I would not look the same, right? We got to be able to build muscle. And if you're not training properly, you're just not going to do that, or you're not going to do that as effectively. So the first thing is intensity. In order to achieve your dream physique, you must train with intensity and increase your strength. If you're not getting stronger every single week, you will not be building muscle. And if you're not building muscle, you're not going to have the physique that you want to have. So we need to make sure that we're actually getting stronger every single week. When I'm at the gym, I make sure that I give 100% effort. Okay, this is super, super important. Now, we're only going to the gym 3 days a week, right? We're not going 5-6 days a week. And so knowing that we're only going 3 days a week, we know that we can give 100% effort each time that we're at the gym. Here's the thing too. I do a lot of running and I also do a lot of lifting, right? But running is typically harder for me than lifting because let's say I go on a 10-mile run, I'm running for, let's just say an hour and a half with no break, right? It's nonstop. When I'm at the gym, I lift for 30 seconds and then I get a 1 to 2 minute break. I know after every single set, I'm gonna have a break. So mentally, it's really easy for me to give 100% effort because if I'm at the gym for an hour, I'm really only actively lifting for, let's say 15, 20 minutes, right? Most of it is actually like break time. With that being said, we need to keep the intensity high. We need to make sure that each set is taken to complete failure or one left in the tank. And we're often going to be incorporating techniques like forced reps, drop sets, or negatives. Okay? If you're not training to failure, you are going to be leaving gains on the table. So the last 2 reps are the only reps that matter. There's the 8 to 10 rep fallacy, what I call. So let's say, for example, you're doing an exercise and I say, hey, give me like an all-out max effort, as many reps as you can do to the point of failure. You're able to get 10 reps. I have a gun to your head. I'm like, dude, do another rep. You physically are not capable of doing another rep. Okay, boom. So we know 10 is your max. Most people, when they go to the gym and they're doing that same exercise with the same amount of weight, they'll get to the 8th rep and it starts to get hard. And then that's when they stop. Okay. The only purpose, though, of the first 8 reps is to get you to the 9th and 10th rep, okay? That is where all of the magic happens. That is where all of your muscle is actually being built. There's a fallacy, though, because people are like, hey, I've been working really hard. I just did 8 reps. I'm good. I can stop, right? I wish there was a way to just get to the 9th and 10th rep without having to do the first 8, but there's not. So you need to reprogram your mind to get in the mindset of when you get to the 9th and 10th rep, this is where the gains are happening. This is where I need to push. This is what I have been working for, okay? And the more you can consistently do that, you're going to see your progress explode. On top of that, we need to ensure that you're using a full range of motion, okay? So I have videos uploaded to Trainerize where you'll be able to see me doing all of the exercises, and you can see exactly how to perform them. But in general, okay, the biggest mistake I see is guys are not doing a full range of motion. And typically the reason they're not doing a full range of motion is because they're lifting too heavy of weights and they don't actually have control over the weight that they're moving. So you got to put your ego to the side and you got to sometimes lower the weight, right? So a lighter weight with more range of motion and more time under tension is going to be far more beneficial for you than trying to go heavier with a less range of motion and less time under tension, right? The more you can focus on those 3 aspects, the better. And as you get stronger, then yes, you can increase the weight, but you don't want the weight to have control of you. You want to have control of the weight. That's why you'll see guys at the gym who are twice your size lifting about the same amount of weight as you. Like when they're doing curls, they're not grabbing 50-pound dumbbells, right? Sometimes they're grabbing 30-pound dumbbells and they're going very slow and controlled, isolating the only muscle that they want to actually hit, and they're keeping a lot of time under tension for that muscle. That's part of the reason they look the way that they do, okay? This training style is what has helped me get to this physique. It's what's helped me really explode my muscle growth paired with, right, the right nutrition. On top of this, Kate, we got to make sure we're doing progressive overload. What that means is every single week, you need to be increasing the total number of reps that you're doing or the total amount of weight in each session. That means that you're getting stronger, right? If you're able to lift more, again, either more reps or more weight, that means that your strength is increasing. So what does that actually look like? Well, let's say that you're benching 205 pounds for 8 reps. The next week, you're going to keep the weight the exact same, but you're going to aim to go for 9 reps, right? Plus 1 more rep. Once you reach the top end of the rep range, right? In this example, it's 8 to 12. Sometimes it'll be 6 to 8. Other times it'll be 10 to 12. It'll say for you on Trainerize, but whatever the top end of the rep range is, once you hit that, that's when you increase the weight. As a result of increasing the weight, the total number of reps will drop. So if you hit 205 pounds, right, for 12 reps, then the following week you would increase the weight, right? Let's go up 10 pounds, and then your reps will drop. So maybe you're only able to do 9 reps. That's perfect, okay? The following week you do 215 and trying to hit 10 reps, and then 11, and then 12, and then once you hit 12, you add weight again, go to 225, okay? You guys get the idea. When we're doing this, right, we want to make sure that we're able to hit each set with full intensity. So make sure that you're taking a break in between each set, 1 to 2 minutes, right? You want to make sure your heart rate comes back down. It doesn't need to be like a resting heart rate. If your heart rate's a little bit elevated, that's fine, as long as you're confident in hitting that set. So typically for me, it's about 90 seconds, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. It just depends on the exercise. But you want to make sure that you're maintaining your training intensity, okay? So when we train, we will be doing a reverse pyramid training style. Okay, this is pretty counter to the way that most people train. So most people start with the lightest set, then their next set they increase the weight, and then the final set is the heaviest set. We're gonna completely flip that on its head. Okay, so we're gonna begin with the heaviest set first. We're gonna move as much weight as possible while our muscles are fresh. Okay, if you do it the other way around where you start with the lighter weight, move to the heavier weight, and then finish with the heaviest weight, your muscles are already fatigued, you're not able to move as much weight. So we don't want to do that. We want to start with the heaviest weight that we can. Okay, after we do that first set, so your heaviest set, you're going to want to aim for the lower end of the rep range. So let's say it's 8 to 12 reps. Ideally, you're around 8 to 9 reps. Okay, if you're at 12 reps, it's too light of weight. You need to increase the weight. Over time, right, as you get stronger, the reps will go up. But when you're first starting out, I want all of your reps to be closer to 8 to 9 reps for your first set. Okay, it might take a week or two to figure out what weights you're using, but keep that in the back of your mind. If your first set, you're busting out 12 reps, like you need to increase the weight the following week. Your muscles are going to be fatigued after you do that first set. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the weight 10 to 15%, and then we're going to perform the next set to a similar rep range. So 10% lighter, 8 to 12 reps. The final set is going to be the last set, the last set should be the lightest set. And most of the time, right, you'll probably drop the weight. Sometimes you'll keep the weight the same. How do you know if you should drop the weight or keep the weight the same? If on your second set, right, you do 11 or 12 reps, then if you drop the weight, you're probably going to do more than 11 or 12 reps. So don't drop the weight, keep the weight the same. Right? And because your muscles are fatigued, you'll probably do 10, maybe 11 reps on that third and final set. And you're going to keep track of all of your weights for every single movement. It'll keep track of it in the app. So the following week, when you show up to the gym and you see that, hey, for my second set, I did 11 reps, you know that for your second set, you should probably increase the weight. Okay? So just keep track. This is why it's really, really important to keep track of your weight so that you actually know what you need to do for each set. And again, push to failure, or if it's not safe to do so, keep one in the tank. But pretty much every single movement, you'll be going to the point of failure. Okay, so again, starting with your heaviest set first. Before you jump into the heaviest set, make sure you do a warm-up set, right? After, especially like the first 2 movements of the day, after your first 2 movements, you shouldn't really need to do a warm-up set. If you feel like you need to, then by all means do a warm-up set. But if you're jumping on bench press and you haven't warmed up yet, I don't want you going to 225 straight away. Throw 135 on the bar and bust out 4 or 5 reps. You don't want to fatigue the muscle, right? You just want to get your body used to that movement, and then you can add on the weight. After that, let's say you're doing incline bench. Maybe you need to do a warm-up set just to get familiar with the movement. But then after that, if you go to like cable curls or bicep curls, you're not really going to need to do a warm-up set. But again, if you want to do a warm-up set, if you're going to feel more comfortable doing a warm-up set, by all means do a warm-up set. Just make sure that your warm-up set is not 12 reps, right? It should only be 4 to 6 reps, just so your body gets familiar and you get blood flowing to that area. Mind-muscle connection. Okay, so lifting heavy is important, but like I talked about earlier, activation is more important. So we need to focus on proper form and controlled movements to engage the muscles effectively and prevent injuries. Okay, as long as you train properly, you should never get injured, right? You should only be activating the necessary muscles when performing each movement. If the weight is too heavy and you cannot go slow and controlled, you need to drop the weight. This is typically when injuries occur, when people are going too heavy and they can't actually control the weight, and then other muscles are having to overcompensate for that weight. And then that's typically when you get an injury, right? So make sure that you have full control, you're slow, you're controlled, okay? 1 to 2 seconds on the active movement, 1 to 2 seconds on the when you're deactivating, okay? If you're working out with a partner, have them tap the muscle you're working out. So if you're doing chest and there's someone with you, have them tap your chest as you're actually doing the movement and focus all of your energy towards that muscle group so that you're only using that muscle group, okay? If you're doing bicep curls and you're by yourself and you have one arm, right? As you're doing the bicep curl, touch your bicep, okay? And learn to activate it. You can see even with no weight, I'm able to fully engage my bicep. If I switch to tricep and I'm doing tricep extension, okay, same thing. I'm able to fully engage that tricep because I've done this for so long, right? That you can see all the muscles activating there. You should be able to do this, right, without any weight. And then once you have weight, it's even easier, okay? That's how you're able to engage your chest like this, because you have the mind-muscle connection, actually knowing what that feels like to engage that, right? So at first, if you're not super familiar with it, if you're training with somebody, just have them touch that area, become more familiar with it. And again, right, it's more important to go a little bit lighter with more control and more isolation with that movement than to go super, super heavy and engage a bunch of different muscles, because then the muscle you're actually trying to grow isn't getting the full effect, okay? Next is recovery, okay? This is just as important as lifting. That's why I'm a huge advocate of the 3-day split, because it allows your body the right amount of time to actually recover, but we also want to, support our recovery as much as we can. So adequate rest between workouts is crucial. We must give time for the muscle to recover and grow back stronger. Make sure you're giving your body proper nutrients as well. Again, the better you eat, the better your body's going to recover, the better you're going to feel. Here's the thing, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger used to play mind tricks on his competitors back in his bodybuilding days. He would tell them that he was working out 7 days a week. He was doing 2-a-days. And these guys would be like, oh my goodness, like I'm not training enough. I need to start doing 2-a-days. But what he knew is that the body needed time to recover, and that it was actually going to be detrimental to train that much. So he wasn't training that much, right? He was only working out once a day. He was probably doing 6 days a week, but he was also on steroids. So his body's able to recover a lot quicker than somebody who's not on steroids. But the point here remains the same. You can overwork your muscles, okay? And when you're lifting, you are tearing down the muscle, right? That's what's actually happening. You're tearing the muscle fibers. And then when you are in a state of recovery, your muscles are growing back bigger and stronger over that muscle that just got torn, okay? And that's what causes the muscle to actually grow. So you break down the muscle during training and the growth comes during the recovery phase. So it's not rest days, it's grow days, right? You need to start thinking about that. So when you're doing your 3-day split and you're not lifting the other 4 days, those aren't just like you're chilling, right? You're growing. So time off is crucial. When you're in that recovery stage, make sure you're hitting the sauna. If you can hit the sauna right after you lift, that is the optimal time to do it. I also like to hit it on days that I don't lift. Foam roller is your best friend. Really roll on that thing. Get the blood flowing. Get the fascia release. Stretching is great. If you go to yoga class, that's incredible. It's going to help with injury prevention if you have a massage gun. And then the ice bath is great as well. So don't do the ice bath right after you lift. It's going to stunt your muscle recovery and your muscle growth. Instead, you want to do it before you lift. It's one of the best things you can do to actually increase your testosterone is getting in an ice bath before you lift and letting your body heat up naturally. Don't get in a hot shower, get in the sauna, just naturally let your body heat up. Or the day after you lift, you can go hit the cold plunge. The sauna is great. You can do it right after you lift. It's one of the best things you can do, okay? So definitely make sure that you're hitting that. Now, how to actually warm up properly. So adequate warm up and range of motion will reduce any chance of injury. We want to warm up the joints and get the blood flowing. So you can use the dumbbells or the cables, about 10 pounds for each of them, but use what feels right. You don't want to go too heavy. You want to keep this light. You can also do some body weight movements. So push-ups, pull-ups, dips. Same thing, you don't want to be going super, super fast. Slow and controlled, get the blood flowing to that area. We want to basically lubricate all of the joints and get the blood flowing to that area so it's ready to go. It gets pumped up, right? If you're doing your shoulders or your chest, do some arm circles, do some jumping jacks. The point is, like, we just want to get our body activated, ready to go. After your first exercise, you should be good to go. Right? So you do your warm up, then you do your warm up set before your first working set. After that, you should be good to go. But again, know yourself. Like, if you think you need to do a warm up set in between other exercises, like, definitely do it. It's never going to hurt to do a warm up set, but just a lot of times it's not necessary. Okay. So just know yourself, know how you need to do it. Here's some videos. This is a dumbbell warm up. So this is what my dumbbell warm up looks like when I get to the gym before I get into any of my working sets. All right, so whenever we get to the gym and we're doing an upper body day, we want to get a lot of blood flowing to our upper body and hitting the parts that we're going to be hitting. So I generally like to do the same warm-up every single time. I'll start with some arm raises, do it laterally, then I'll do front raises. I'll do about 8 to 10 reps. Come here, do some shoulder press, and then I'll even get my shoulders warmed up even a little bit more like this. If you want, you can lay down on the bench with a little bit heavier of a weight if you're going into inclines, and you can start here, just getting the chest warm, okay? You just want to get some blood flowing. You can hit some push-ups, you can hit some pull-ups. You just want to be lubricating all of your joints, making sure that it's not cold going into your first movement. Okay, very simple, right? Same thing. Slow, controlled, don't need to go super heavy on the weight. We just want to be getting the blood flowing, okay? And then if you want to use the cables. All right, so whenever we get to the gym, this is what the cable warm-up would look like. So in addition to using the dumbbells for warming up, we can also use the cables. So this is a longer version of the rope. You can grab a shorter version, you can grab a handle, and you're just gonna wanna do things that warm up the body part you're gonna be using. So if I'm doing anything with chest or shoulders, I'll be doing movements like this just to get blood flowing to this area. You can come here and do face pulls. You can come here and really warm up the shoulder this way. You can go the opposite way, okay, and pull forward. Any sort of movement that's going to be getting blood flowing to this area, lubricating the joints. As long as you warm up properly and you're not doing anything in the 1 to 2 rep range, and you're going slow and controlling all your movements, there's no reason that you should get injured. Okay, you guys get the idea. We want blood flowing to the area. We don't want to be going into any movements cold. This is the best way to warm up, to actually activate the muscles that we're going to be using. So in addition, abs, okay? A strong core is essential for proper athleticism. You'll never meet a world-class athlete that has a weak core. So abs, they can be trained every session at the gym and even on cardio days if you want to as well. Same thing, we want to make sure that we're doing a full range of motion. It is critical for helping the ab muscle grow. The more you can activate the ab muscle in each exercise that you do, the better. Same thing, slow and controlled is always going to be better than fast and loose. Leg raises and knee raises are my favorite, right? So you can start by going, if you have the ability to do it, toes to bar, right? You're hanging and you do toes to bar. If you don't have that ability, you can just go 90 degrees, right? In the L sit hold. And then after that, knee raises. So you can go knee raises just straight up to the same armpit, or you can go cross body, right? Cross body, so your knee to your opposite armpit. That's also fantastic. I'll have different exercises for you guys in your workout program depending on your ability. And then on your leg day, I'll have you doing 8-minute abs, which is a video on YouTube. So if you look up 8-minute abs on YouTube, it's this video right here. It's from the 80s. It has like 25 million views or something. just look up 8-minute abs. It's connected to your trainer eyes as well, so you can just click the video on there and it'll start playing. But if you want to look it up yourself, it's this video right here. No other video looks anything like this, so you can't mess it up, okay? So that's what you're gonna be doing for abs. And then lastly, let's talk about zone 2 cardio, distance, and speed. So I want you guys doing your cardio in a zone 2 heart rate range. So to calculate your zone 2 range, you're gonna take 220, subtract your age, and then multiply that number by 0.6 and 0.7. That is gonna give you the range that you should stay in for all of your cardio unless otherwise stated. So oftentimes on runs especially, you will be surprised how slow you have to go for the first couple weeks or months to stay within the range, right? It's gonna feel like awkwardly slow, but your heart needs to build up a capacity, it needs to build a strong baseline. And the only way to do that, not the only way, but the most effective way to do that is through zone 2 cardio, right? So if you're constantly like going on a super high heart rate range, it's equivalent to like redlining a car, right? Always having it in a super high, what is it called? REM? Or you guys know what I'm talking about. When you're redlining a car and you're just going way too high, it's gonna help the engine explode, and we don't want that. So we wanna keep everything super low. That way our heart can actually build up a safe baseline, which is going to allow us, so right here. So you're building up your aerobic base, which is essential for training, and it's gonna help your body move blood more effectively through your body, which in return is going to help you when you're doing more intense cardio, right? Or more higher endurance stuff. Cardio should be done for a minimum of 30 minutes. Running is the easiest when you don't have access to a gym. If you do have access to a gym, you can hit the cycle, you can hit the Stairmaster, rowing machine. Incline walking on the treadmill is great, or you can also run at the gym. But all of your paces should be measured by heart rate, right? So don't just go out there and say, hey, I'm gonna go run a 7-minute mile. If you do that, I guarantee your heart rate's gonna be jacked up, it's gonna be super high, it's going to exhaust you, and it's not going to be the most beneficial thing for having you burn fat. The reason we wanna stay in the zone 2 range, not only does it help build the aerobic base, but it's the peak heart rate range for burning fat. So if you're on the treadmill and you're doing incline walking, 10 to 15% incline at a 3 to 3.5 speed is usually good, right? If you have a watch and you can track your heart rate, that's gonna be the best thing. They also have the handles that you can grab and it'll tell you what your heart rate is when you're doing that. You'll notice the faster you go or the higher incline you go, the more your heart rate is going to go up. And then typically throughout the session, your heart rate goes up. But what's cool is the more you do this, over time, you're gonna see your heart rate dropping if you're going at the same speed, at the same incline, right? Because you're just getting healthier, your heart is getting more effective at moving blood throughout your body, right? And so with that, you'll be able to lift harder, lift longer, and then when you do other endurance sports as well, you'll be able to go longer, go faster, go harder. So it's counterintuitive, but you're actually going to be going slower so that you can be going faster. But these are the training principles that you have to follow. If you follow all these training principles to a T, I promise your physique is going to transform like it's never transformed before, and you will be loving the way that you look.